What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be replacing the differential bushings on my 100 series Land Cruiser, and this video is a part of a series of videos I'm doing to rebuild the suspension in my car. And the differential bushings per se aren't part of the suspension, but you know, when they're worn out and you're shifting between gears, there can be a lot of sloppiness and a lot of play as the differential moves around when the car's put in different gears. So I'm definitely experiencing that. I'll show you a quick clip of that, you know, when I shift gears, how the noise sounds and what the differential looks like as it moves, and then we'll get right into it. All right, so there are 5 bushings that you can replace on the differential. The first 2 are up front, just underside the passenger side. There's a kind of a bolt that goes through here into the frame, and there's a bushing that's like a puck that gets with a metal sleeve that gets pressed into this front diff cover. And then there's a rubber puck that goes between this metal component and the frame. So those are 2. The third is right here inside this diff mount bracket, which you can buy the bushings separately, but for the cost of the whole bracket, it made a lot of sense to just buy the whole thing. In my opinion, I think it would be really hard to try to press that bushing out and replace it. You'd have to take the whole thing off anyways to do it. So for a couple extra dollars, I'm just going to replace this whole bracket. And then there's a similar bracket around back, kind of under the passenger tire a little bit on the other side here. Let me wriggle around there and I'll show you. All right, so here's the second bracket that holds the diff up, and bushing 4 and 5. This one is pressed into the bracket, and then there's a rubber puck up above it as well. These are a little wet because I've already sprayed them with penetrating oil. I'm going to be replacing both of the brackets and all 5 of the bushings today. All right, so in the same order, here are the components. This is that front bushing that will press into the front diff cover, and part number there. This is going to be the hardest and probably most time-consuming component because we have to wrangle this one out, and then we have to press it into the front diff cover. Here's the puck that goes above that, puck number. This number right here is the second one I showed. It's the diff mount that's slightly towards the driver's side. See, it's got the bushing already pressed into it, and you can imagine how hard it would be to get that out of the old one, all rusted and without probably the right kind of press. And then here's the diff mount that goes a little bit to the back and under the passenger tire. See the part number there, and the second puck for that one. So those are the parts. Not terribly expensive. I'll give you kind of the part numbers and cost estimate and the description. And then as far as tools go, I have a 1/2-inch drive and all my sockets, a little pipe for an extension in case I need some extra leverage. You'll need some wrenches to hold the opposite side of the bolts as you turn. This is my torque wrench, which you'll definitely need to put everything back together, and I'll give you torque specs as I put things together. I have an impact drive. You'll need to support the diff, by the way, as you take these components out. And it's probably the best practice to replace one at a time, because if you took all 3 bolts out, this bolt, and the bolt that goes through here, the diff would literally fall out of the car. Or fall out of place at least, and it's very heavy. So make sure that it's supported and probably only replace one at a time. I have a 2.5-pound hammer, and that's a wood chisel. I have some chisels that are gonna help me to get this front diff bushing out. So I'm gonna kind of chisel around the edge there and kind of slowly work it out downwards. Have kind of safety equipment to do that. And then I have a ball joint press, which should be able to help me press that first component back into the front diff cover once I remove the old one. So that's all you need. I've got the penetrating oil kind of sinking in, so I'm gonna get started in a few minutes here and I'll give you some progress updates as I go. All right, I got the front differential mount off and it is totally shot. I mean, the bushing is like deteriorated. I can move it just with my thumb. It's actually kind of crooked as well. It's like not in the center anymore, so it's not really doing much. It'll be good to get this new one in there. All right, I've got the new piece in. You can kind of see my wrench up there holding the bolt or the nut on the other side of this bolt. And there's just 3 bolts here. Each one is 137 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna crank those down and then on to the next one. I think I'll do the rear diff mount bracket next. Let's see how that goes. All right, I got the second bracket off. This one's from under the passenger side. It's in a little better shape than the other one. There's the rubber puck that goes on like this, and then this is facing the way it should. So this part meets the under part of the frame. And yeah, I don't know. I maybe didn't need to replace this one. Can't really tell visually, but my thinking was just to replace them all because I knew the diff was moving a good bit. And you know, if some parts are loose and the diff is moving, then that probably puts excess wear on the other parts that are good. And you know, on top of that, this one's got 300,000 miles on it, so should be pretty easy to just pop in. 58, 58, and 137 again on the big bolt. So, all right, back mount is in. I had to do this kind of wacky sideways jack to get the diff back up so that this bolt would reach through the mount on the frame there. But basically what happened was when I loosened this guy up, the diff fell down to this support bracket and the bolt wasn't long enough to reach. And then it was also not going, it was kind of like it had fallen to an angle so that the bolt wouldn't go through anymore. So that's probably not the best thing to do. I wish I would have followed my own advice and supported the diff before I took that one down. It would have made it a lot easier. I honestly forgot. So especially when you're taking this one out, not so much the one in the front that I had done before, but this one, and I think the front one, you're gonna have to support the diff. So get your jack stand up so that it doesn't fall when you take the bolts out. Otherwise it might kind of fall out of alignment and be pretty hard to get back together. All right, on to the best for last. So this is definitely gonna be the hardest. I'm gonna take this bolt out and then I have my chisels and I'm just gonna pound the shit out of it and try to separate that lip right there from the front diff cover. See if I can slowly kind of work around the edges and knock that thing out of there. So let me give that a couple whacks and then I'll give you an update. Started to peel the lip down and you can see it's starting to actually come out as well. This really isn't that bad. It's taking me about 15 minutes so far. I think it's just a matter of having the right tools. The 2.5 pound hammer definitely helps. So let me keep going here. All right, that was not bad. Not as bad as I was thinking it would be. Like 15 minutes max. So it's actually kind of fun. So this thing is totally shot. Look at how easily I can squeeze it with my hands, right? So I think the new bushing is going to be a lot better than that. I mean, I cannot even barely make it budge. And I just gotta press it in now and get the bolt in. So I have my ball joint press set up. I'm gonna use one of the fittings to try to press this in, and we'll see how that goes. All right, all pressed in. Don't forget your puck. Goes rubber side down, and then torque it to 137 foot-pounds. And that's it.